Greetings, everybody. I am Lobo, and welcome to Luna. This is episode 202 of my Minecraft survival series, and in our most recent episode, we decided to come over here and start laying the groundwork for the waterside district of Luna. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to start tackling the waterside district in that episode was because we're just coming off the world tour, right? And this was one of the biggest eyesores I came across during the world tour, and I just wanted to get it kind of fixed up a little bit before we started anything new, right? Or I guess technically what we did here last episode is new. We got new walls and everything like that, but I mean, before we start building new builds and adding new functionality to this place, I really just want to take some of Luna's worst points and bring them up to my current standards, okay? So that being said, there is one other build that, really disappointed me during that world tour, and you might be able to guess what it is. Of course, I am talking about the infamous House of Leaves. And the reason why this build disappointed me is not just because, it was falling apart, because my paintings have fallen off the walls or whatever happened in here, but because this build just really did not meet my overall expectations, my overall goals for it. Like, the original concept for this build was that it was supposed to appear bigger on the inside than it does on the outside, right? But as you can see, it actually looks smaller and much more cramped on the inside than it does on the outside, which is, well, pretty much the opposite of what I was going for. Now, most of you guys know me by now. You know I don't really like to return to old builds, especially ones that are, quote-unquote completed. I'd rather spend my time, working on new stuff, continuing to expand Luna, working to achieve the overall goal of building up our city, right? But I feel like there just comes a time, right? There comes a time where things get to a certain state and they're just unacceptable. And I feel like the House of Leaves has reached that point. We're faced with two options now. Number one, renovate. Number two, just shut this place down forever. So yeah, I think renovation is the route we're going to take here. So obviously we're going to be increasing the interior size of the House of Leaves to meet what once was my objectives for this place. Now the question is, how big do we actually want to go with it? And the answer is, I'm not quite sure yet. I mean, here's what I know. I know that when I walk inside this place, right? I know when I walk inside, I want to be like, hey, this isn't right, that's the goal. I want it to just be bigger on the inside than it looks like it should be, okay? Now, to achieve our goals, I think we're going to actually have to carve back into this area, which is pretty much closed in, so we can afford to do that. And we can even push beyond this area, into the retaining wall on the outside edge of the business district, because the whole area behind this build is elevated. So we could start building the interior of this place underground, right? So we got some options here. Now the question is, how big do we actually want to make it? I don't know. Let's go ahead and call Didi on over, put on a little bit of music, and just make some room. We'll find out. Welcome back, everybody. So now we've got a little bit more room to work here to build up the House of Leaves. I apparently trapped a horse up here. That's not good. Honestly, I mean, how you managed to let me manage to get you into this situation, I will never know. But it's time to come on down. Brace for bouncy. Yes, excellent. You can exit through the hole in the wall, by the way. Anyway, as I was about to say, we now have a little bit more room for our expansion of the House of Leaves, but this is not the full extent of the House of Leaves. We're actually going to continue onward into the Quarantine District. I decided to stop right here below Wolfen's Labs for right now because I'm not exactly quite sure how far into the Quarantine District we need to go with this yet. We're going to connect up to the Botanical Analysis Division with the House of Leaves. Like the House of Leaves and Wolfen's Labs Botanical Analysis Division, they're pretty much one and the same. The House of Leaves is run by Wolfen's Laboratory, in case you couldn't tell by these secret passages leading from the House of Leaves into Wolfen's Labs. But now it's time to go ahead and get started building. So instead of jumping right into the expansion, what I want to do first is kind of figure out the entranceway, this main room, and how we transition from this into the lower areas and, you know, just how to make this look best. So I'm just going to kind of figure out the walls first of all, and then I guess we'll go from there. Now, having the walls all one color, I think, should help this appear to be a little bit more spacious because it's not divided like it was, right? We are still going to have to divide, though, because I do want access to the balcony right here. But as far as access to the second floor goes, I want it to be a little bit more spacious. You know, I don't want a big stairway taking up the entire interior right here. Basically, when we walk in, I want good sight lines. You know, I want to see the full expanse, or at least a pretty decent expanse of the House of Leaves looking down. So I guess the best stairway we could have to achieve our goals is just a straight shot up to the second floor here. Now, as far as the second floor goes, we are going to continue this little balcony that like kind of overlooks the first area, but does grant us access to the second floor areas, which I currently have blocked off right now, but I'm going to go ahead and open those up because we are going to use those. I think we need that. Yeah. So straight shot up to the second floor and then access to these back areas as well. These are going to be small rooms, you know. But, I mean, that can't really be helped. I can't really expand upon those rooms without expanding the exterior dimensions of this build as well, so we're not going to bother with that. Now, as far as how we get access to these stairs leading up to the second floor, we're going to have this long walkway that actually leads us up to the stairs. The walkway is basically going to follow this wall and then come back around here, and that's going to be how we get to these stairs. And that's very inconvenient, right? Very inconvenient, but I think in the best way possible because, you know, the further we have to walk, the more we get an impression that this place is big, right? It's too big for its own good. Actually, you know what? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we might have a little bit too much spruce in this place. I'm thinking this might be a little bit too much. I think I might want to add a little bit of variety in here. So maybe we can go ahead and get rid of some of this spruce and kind of change things up a little bit. We can kind of, maybe do the floors and the stairs and the walkways in a different type of wood and keep the spruce for like the ceiling and the accent, right? So dark oak is probably what we're going to roll with just to keep the interior here cohesive with the exterior. And it might look good, it might not, you know, but I think it's at least worth a try. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of dark oak and beat these leaves with a stick till they give me what I want. And we'll see what we think of it. Now, I know I tell you guys all the time I don't really plan stuff out as well as I should, and this is a prime example of that. Hello. Good morning. Can I help you, sir? Did you need something? Whoa, social distance. Don't come at me like that. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh no, don't. I was just joking. Dude, I was kidding. You can come hang out if you want. Help me collect saplings. We're cool, right? We're good. We're good. Just stop being weird and everything's fine, okay? Okay. Anyway, I know seeing me backtrack on builds isn't the most riveting content, but it is an accurate representation of my process. You know, if we move the second floor up a half block to the half slab level, that lets us get some decorations here on our ceiling and offer a little bit more separation, right? And that does kind of shrink down the second floor a little bit, but I think we can afford to do that because the first floor, what we actually see is what really matters. Now, keeping that in mind, I think we could also probably afford to drop the first floor down by a half block as well, giving us even more headroom, right? So that's going to make this place feel a little bit more spacious. Also, since all the floors will be built on the half slab level, that will effectively mob-proof this place without us having to go overboard on the lighting, right? I mean, I do need your approval, Cookie. Do I have your approval for this? Excellent. Okay, great. You got to get the boss bird's approval. You know, he's in charge of this place now. I'm working for him. Another thing we could do is just kind of increase the visibility of certain areas just to help them appear to be a little bit more open. Now, this is all detail stuff. I've been kind of working on detail stuff. I really shouldn't work on detail stuff. We need to get the whole general structure of the rest of this built in first. But I do have a pretty good idea of what I really want to do with this place now. I mean, at least with block choice and the floors and the walls and the overall structure of this, you know? So I think at this point, what we're going to go ahead and do is just call Dee Dee back on over here, put on a little bit of music, and continue our expansion into the House of Leaves. Oh man, welcome back everybody. So we've made a pretty significant amount of progress here in the House of Leaves, at least in these nearer areas. The areas further away are not complete yet. We will get around to those eventually, but let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about the areas that we have actually completed. So I guess we'll start over here. I intend for this to be like a little sweet berry farm. We're going to plant sweet berries over here and collect those. We're also going to use this area as a little vine farm. So the House of Leaves is going to continue serving its original purpose. purpose. You know, we're going to have various botanical stuff we can get from these different sections, also accessible from Wolfen's Laboratory's Botanical Analysis Division. And overall, I think we've greatly improved this space. You know, I'd much rather harvest vines down here than, you know, in the stone dungeon that once was here, or over at the Waterside District where they don't belong anyway. Now, unfortunately, there was a price to pay for this expansion. We had a lightning strike over here at the House of Leaves, and I can't help but feel that it was a bit targeted. Like, if you come out here and look, you can see that where the lightning strike occurred, it pretty much occurred directly over where Cookie kind of hung out over here, you know? And I know I was working over here, but I mean, it could have occurred like in any of these places, in any of these empty places, but no, it happened right here, you know? So not only did it undo all the work we'd done, you know, earlier in this episode in this main room, but also cost us a very, very valuable member of the team here. I don't know. I'm just going to, I just have to move forward. I'm going to see if I can repair this before we talk about what else we're going to be doing down there. So this is the big downside of me having multiple accounts, like multiple survival accounts in this world, is that when I'm filming time lapses, usually I'm playing on 2 accounts, right? I'm playing on the one that I'm using for building, this one right here, and I'm playing on the other one, which I'm using to film the time lapses. And that means, because I'm playing on 2 accounts, that I can't sleep through the night, because both players would have to sleep, and the other account's considered another player, right? Even though he's a robot and doesn't need to sleep. Talking about Dee, of course. But I mean, when it comes to getting attacked by mobs at night, or if it comes to thunderstorms, that means I kind of just have to suck it up and soldier on, which makes stuff like this kind of inevitable, but I still don't like it. So the House of Leaves should now be put back together, I think. I'm just kind of having my final looks at it, just making sure everything is where it needs to be, making sure we have no more gigantic holes in anywhere, and it's raining now, which I suppose is appropriate for the situation. I kind of changed some stuff up from the way we had it just to better suit like what we're doing with it now, like, you know, just using the trapdoors as the handrails instead of fence posts and stuff like that. I mean, it is supposed to be a renovation after all, so yeah, let me go ahead and figure out like our next steps. We are running a little bit behind at this point due to those unexpected delays. So I went ahead and took care of some of the furnishings, which is, you know, a relatively minor step. Now I want to go ahead and close all the windows here, except for Cookies. We'll leave Cookies open. You know, close the windows because this place is abandoned, right? It is officially abandoned now. You know, I'm not trying to drag down this entire episode. Let's talk about some good stuff, okay? Let's focus on the good that came out of this, okay? The House of Leaves here is now more in line with what we initially wanted it to be, right? So we have the exterior of the house, but we wanted the interior to appear bigger than it should. And this, I think, kind of accomplishes our goal. It goes back pretty far now, right? And there are little things that we've done to kind of make it feel even more open, some of which we talked about, some of which we haven't. So let's go ahead and talk about the windows here. You'll notice I closed all these windows. This actually served another purpose aside from signaling that this place is abandoned. I wanted to have windows going even further back, even into the areas we wouldn't have windows. So basically what we did was fake windows here. So that should help with the feeling that this place is a little off, right? This is also how we're hiding our access into the Wolfen's laboratory area, because we still do want secret access into Wolfen's labs, and that is right back here. It's also how we access this little walkway looking over the vine farm area and all this mess, right? Because basically the House of Leaves is a front for Wolfen's Laboratory's Botanical Analysis Division. This is how they get a little bit more income to run their experiments on plants. So next up, we need to get these areas filled out. We need vines on this side, and we need sweet berries over here on this side. And that should do it for us today, except for I didn't show you guys the upstairs yet. So this is the upstairs. It's changed just the smallest little bit since the last time you saw it. Basically, the only room up here now is this one, you know, empty bedroom, and that's pretty much it. Now, I know once upon a time we collected some sweet berries, and I thought I would have put them over here in the village life area, but that does not appear to be the case. So I I honestly have no idea what I did with those sweet berries we collected because it was actually a really long time ago. My best guess is that they're somewhere on on the surface with all my masses of unorganized chests, which is not great because I don't have time to search through all those things. I'm already running a little bit behind as it is. Fortunately, I do have the vaguest recollection of where we got those things. I believe we got them from a village up this way, so I'm gonna head back to that village and just see if we can collect some more from that same area, because I don't think it was very far away. I think this might be the village. I think we might be approaching the village now. Also, I want to go ahead and address something I meant to address a little bit earlier, but forgot about. So obviously the House of Leaves is called the House of Leaves. So it makes sense that we would get our leaves from there as well, but we don't have a leaf farm set up yet. We will get one in there eventually. We're going to gradually work on expanding this place. I don't think this is the right area, is it? This might be the wrong village. Not a sweet berry in sight. So yeah, we're going to continue onward. Actually, no, this is the village, right? I think this is the village that I was actually looking for, because this seems familiar. And yeah, we got our sweet berry bushes over here. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of berry picking. You don't berry pick with an axe, so let me go ahead and just do this with my bare hand. And I'll meet you back at the House of Leaves in just a little bit. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, who'd have thought this be this dangerous? So we'll just go ahead and plant these all along here. Now we have sweet berries growing in Luna. We'll store the excess in here, and we'll gradually stock up on these things. For what purpose? I don't know. We'll figure out one eventually. Next thing, though, we need to go ahead and get our vine farm set up. So we'll go ahead and do one final harvest of this temporary vine farm over here in the Waterside District before we get it removed. And yes, this also serves the purpose, like building up the House of Leaves, and the Botanical Analysis Division also serves the purpose of clearing out additional areas in the Waterside District. That way we can actually build here. At this point, you may have noticed another little oversight on my part, because I just did. As we're building our vine room, I did not actually give myself anything to hang my vines from. We didn't make any, like, things sticking out of the ceiling or anything like that, so we're gonna have to figure that out. Then again, I don't really want to have the vines hanging from the ceiling because that's going to mess up the view. It's going to get in the way and make this place look smaller. So what we could do then is hang something from the ceiling, something unobtrusive that we can harvest our vines from, but we need to place that thing just out of reach so that way as we harvest, we don't actually break the thing that our vines are hanging from. And if we put that thing at that height right there, like a little vine planter at that height, that should be good, and then we can see over it and see how big the room actually is when looking at it from the main entrance. Hopefully, anyway. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we can have our vine planters attached to the ceiling using chains. That way it remains unobtrusive, and we can have the actual place where the blocks that we're growing the vines on are going to be leaves. So that way, they look light. They look light enough to actually be supported by the ceiling. And, they don't clash with the look of the vines too much either. Another thing to note is that we want this place to be non-spawnable. Our floor is on the half block level. That's non-spawnable. The leaves make this non-spawnable. The chains that we're putting on top of this render these non-spawnable. So, we just don't want to get attacked by mobs as we're trying to gather resources and stuff. So it's looking like we might be able to get 6 rows of planters in here, potentially. If we really squeeze them in, right? 3 on this side, 3 on this side over here. And that should enable us out. That should enable us to get a good amount of vines to continue to make our mossy cobble, mossy stone bricks, and all that stuff. And that takes care of that. So all that's left to do is actually go in and plant our vines. And now we have Luna's first official permanent vine farm. Oh yeah, I think that's going to work out nicely. And I like the look of it as well. I like the look of it overall. We already got some vines growing in. We've already got some sweet berries growing in. That means the House of Leaves is very much back in business and is no longer my biggest disappointment in this world. Or actually, maybe it is. Maybe it is, considering the price that we paid to get here. This has been a very bittersweet episode, much like these berries. Very bittersweet. Because Cookie, Yeah. We're going to dedicate this place to Cookie. But that is going to do it for us today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to hit that little thumbs up button. That would mean a whole lot to me. And if you want to see more, please remember to subscribe. But as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I am Lobo, and I will see you guys later.